If you like the video, like it and subscribe now to get more videos like this every day. The new Yankee Workshop enthralled spectators for 21 seasons with Norm Abrams' professional skill and devotion. He led us through making everything from fine woodworking week after week. Furniture and outdoor gazebos made complex projects more manageable, but the show ended abruptly in 2009 despite its popularity and full funding. Norm had built over 235 projects, yet he decided to walk away at the peak of his career. What could have driven him to close the doors of his iconic workshop for good? Norm Abram was born on October 3, 1949 in Wock at Rhode Island, but his roots were laid deep in the town of Milford, Massachusetts. From the beginning, Norm was a kid who spent more time in the workshop than on the playground. His father was a carpenter, a man who believed that every nail had its place and that craftsmanship was something to take pride in. It was no surprise then that Norm's education started not in a classroom but at the age of 9 on a client site helping his father install hardwood floors. By the time Norm was in high school, he spent every summer working alongside his father. That was how Norm learned the rhythm of the tools, the grain of the wood, and how to turn raw materials into something beautiful. But like many kids from small towns, he didn't think carpentry would be his future, so when it was time for college, Norm Abram went off to the University of Massachusetts Amherst not to study woodworking but mechanical engineering. It didn't take long for Norm to figure out that while he was good with his hands, his heart wasn't in theory and calculations. Engineering felt cold and distant. What he really wanted was to be in the thick of things, hands covered in sawdust. So he switched to business administration, thinking maybe that would suit him better, but even that couldn't hold him. His mind kept wandering back to the work he knew, the hands-on practical work his father had shown him. So just short of finishing his degree, Norm left college and headed back to where he belonged, the workshop. After leaving school, Norm spent 3 years working for a major construction firm in New England. He wasn't just a worker, though he had something special. It didn't take long before he was promoted to site supervisor. The job was big, important, but not enough. Norm wanted to carve his own path, and so in 1976 he founded Integrated Structures Inc., his own general contracting firm. His first big independent project, building a general store on the idyllic island of Nantucket, a project that would kick off the next chapter of his life and in ways he couldn't yet imagine. In 1979 Norm took what seemed like an ordinary job, building a small barn in the backyard of a man named Russell Morrish. Now Morrish wasn't just any homeowner, he was a television producer with a keen eye for talent, and something about the way Norm worked, the way he used every piece of wood, the efficiency, the precision caught Morrish's attention. This wasn't just a carpenter hammering away, there was something almost artistic in Norm's work. Russell Morrish knew he had found something special, something more than just a guy with a toolbox, so he invited Norm to help with a new project, a television show called This Old House. The concept was simple: take an old beat-up Victorian house in Dorchester and bring it back to life on camera. But this wasn't just a show about renovation, it was about education, and Norm, with his quiet, calm demeanor and deep knowledge, fit right in. At first Norm was just the carpenter on site, but before long he was on camera explaining how to install a beam or measure twice, cut once, and the audience loved him. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't a loud TV personality, he was just Norm, a guy who knew his craft inside and out and could teach you a thing or two without making it feel like a lesson. As This Old House took off, so did Norm's reputation. People weren't just tuning in for the house, they were tuning in for Norm, his steady hand, his detailed explanations, his respect for the craft. These were the things that made him stand out. It wasn't long before Russell Morrish saw another opportunity. Why not give Norm his own show? And so the new Yankee Workshop was born. It was 1988 and Russell Morrish knew they had something special. People weren't just watching to learn about houses anymore, they were watching for Norm. His methodical approach, his deep knowledge, and his calm noons delivery made woodworking feel accessible, almost therapeutic. If Norm could breathe life into old homes, imagine what he could do with a dedicated woodworking show. But before they could get started, they needed a space, and it just so happened Morrish already had the perfect location. Remember that barn Norm built in Russell's backyard in 1979? That would become the iconic workshop. At first it was just a simple building, but they expanded it, adapted it, and made it into something that suited Norm's style. It became a real woodworking. In 1989, the new Yankee Workshop aired its first episode, featuring Norm guiding viewers through the creation of a new project each week. The projects ranged from classic furniture to functional workshop accessories, but were always practical and beautiful. Norm used a mix of traditional hand tools and modern power tools to create stunning results. His projects ranged from beginner-friendly to complex reproductions of antique furniture, making it accessible to all skill levels. Norm's calm presence guided viewers through the shop, which was set on Russell Marsh's property. The shop initially lacked a door, so Norm built the famous sliding barn door himself. The show's charm came from Norm always closing up shop as the episode wrapped up. The well-organized chaos included a back bench, drill press, miter bench, storage unit, radial arm saw, computer, TV, and small office in the south wall. The east wall had a staircase to a loft area with jigs, edge sander, and dust collector, making it functional and cozy. The challenges Norm faced during the show's 21 episodes extended beyond the interiors. During the seasons, the Yankee Workshop developed outdoor projects such as gazebos, sheds, and greenhouses. Norm built fences, flagpoles, mailboxes, and more using wood on camera. He also took viewers on field trips to historical sites, museums, and shops to gain inspiration for his projects. He would study the craftsmanship of antique chairs and cabinets, then recreate them in his shop with a modern twist. After the workshop ended, Norm Abram created over 235 unique projects with the same attention to detail and craftsmanship. The show was nominated for multiple Daytime Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Service and Single Camera Editing. Fans across America and beyond found something special in his workshop. You'd learn something new from the expert, but all good things must end. WGBH Boston announced on October 16, 2009, that episodes of the new Yankee Workshop would not be produced. Norm Abram, in his typical understated manner, reflected on his decision to leave the show, stating that the show had a successful run, met talented woodworkers, and garnered loyal support from millions of viewers. He assured viewers that the show had sufficient funding to continue. Underwriters and viewers remained loyal, but Norm felt he had achieved his goals after 21 seasons of non-stop building. He wanted to spend more time with family and away from the cameras, despite the show's end. The love for the new Yankee remained. Workshop episodes remained available for streaming on This Old House Insider and NewYankee.com for several years. Woodworkers could access project plans and revisit their favorite builds, creating a digital archive. However, on September 5, 2022, the streaming options disappeared due to the expiration of the license agreement between Moorish ASIC WGBH Lur Inc. and This Old House Ventures. Miracle arrived on YouTube of all places. Russell Moorish, the man who had seen the potential in Norm all those years ago, posted a video announcing something special. The new Yankee Workshop was back, this time on YouTube. He gave a brief tour of the shop that had become legendary and promised that the episodes would now be available to a whole new generation. Anyone who wanted to could just pull up YouTube and feast on the woodworking wisdom of Norm Abram anytime, anywhere. The announcement was a gift to fans both old and new. Moorish closed his video with a simple message of joy, saying, "It's all there and it's all for you to enjoy, and I certainly hope you do." Beyond the new Yankee Workshop and This Old House, Norm Abram's influence stretched far. He wasn't just building houses or furniture, he was building a legacy of craftsmanship and care. One of his proudest roles was serving on the board of trustees at Old Sturbridge Village in Massachusetts. It was a place that preserved history, and that was something Norm deeply connected with. He believed in keeping tradition alive, whether through restoring old homes or ensuring the next generation of woodworkers understood the value of the past. It was fitting then that in 2001 Norm was invited to deliver the commencement speech at the North Bennett Street School, an institution known for its dedication to teaching craftsmanship. Standing before the new graduates, Norm's message was clear. Craftsmanship isn't just a skill, it's a way of life. Norm didn't stop at speeches. He was hands-on in inspiring the next wave of builders, especially through programs like Generation Next, which aimed to bring younger people into the trades. Norm understood the need for new blood in the industry. He had started young, working alongside his father, and knew how important it was to nurture that same love for the craft in today's youth. To him, woodworking wasn't just a job, it was a calling, and if he could help even a few kids pick up a hammer, he'd consider that time well spent. But for all his serious dedication to craftsmanship, Norm had a lighter side too. He even found his way into pop culture in the quirky animated show Freakazoid. Norm voiced himself in an episode called Normus, where the villainous Loeb kidnaps him to build a special wooden weapon. There was a bit of humor in seeing this calm gentleman thrown into such a wild scenario, but it worked. Norm always had a way of making things work, even if it was just for laughs, and it wasn't just Freakazoid Norm made Cameos in all kinds of places you might not expect. He popped up on Between the Lions and Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. There were even Foot Locker commercials titled House of Hoops starring Norm wherever. Norm wore a plaid shirt, inspiring a relaxed attitude that transcended the wardrobe. A trademark was chosen by individuals. It symbolized Norm's trustworthy and no-nonsense personality. His presentation manner reflected his landmark work, usually speaking softly and calmly. Norm made woodworking seem peaceful and engaging by breaking down complex tasks into manageable steps. He also prioritized safety, starting each episode with a reminder to wear safety glasses and take care with every cut and maneuver. In 2009, the American Academy of Ophthalmology awarded Norm the Eye Smart Distinguished Service Award for his commitment to eye safety, emphasizing the importance of focus, no distractions, no cutting corners, and no rushing when tired. Village recognized Norm for his contribution to the arts and preserving history. In June 2022, the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences honored Norm and This Old House with the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 49th Daytime Emmy Awards, honoring his 40-plus years in the industry. In May 2022, it was announced that Norm would be leaving the show after 43 years and over 1,000 episodes. Norm's retirement marked the end of an era, but his legacy endured. PBS aired a tribute called The House That Norm Built, celebrating his career and the relationships he built with colleagues, friends, and celebrities. Not only did Norm leave his mark on the homes, he restored the hearts of his followers.